Hey guys, my name is Ryan.
And my name is Miska.
And welcome to Overwatch Central. So we actually had this video planned to go out earlier in the week. The video is basically about the new draw system that's on the PTR and how it changes up the playstyle of the game, but also goes over a fundamental problem. Since then, we've actually seen a change on the PTR with the new changes to Lucio's damage and speed boost that completely rectifies this. So Miska's audio at the start of this video is a couple of days old, talking about one of the big problems with the draw set. Once you've heard that, take a listen to what Blizzard have just recently implemented, but just see how close we were to actually getting this right. After that, we're going to talk about the system, get everybody up to date with what it is, and then talk about what it does to the playstyle and tempo of 2 capture point maps, because we see some pretty interesting things happen.
This does highlight a bit of a problem with the system, in our eyes at least. The team that attacks second always has this advantage when it comes to these anti-draw scenarios. This is because they can actually see how much they have to capture and sort of play around that. The reason this is a problem is because the team that attacks first has no visual indication of how much they actually have to capture until the round is over. Sure, you still have the 3 sections, but there's no way to tell how much you actually managed to capture the point by in total until it's time for the other team to attack. So in our case here, we definitely ask Blizzard to put in better visual indicators of how much you've managed to capture whilst the game is still going on. If each granular percentage matters in these situations, then that needs to be highlighted and more visual information needs to be available to the players straight away. Similar to how many meters the payload is moved on an escort map, you can see that right there and then. It's always displayed right at the top of the screen. That number in particular though is very rarely useful in that situation, but that information is still presented to you, so if the payload is very close to that finish line, you know that you can try and backcap it, but you also probably know that the enemy will be on top of the payload, trying to prevent that from happening, meaning that you get more information out of just this one number on the screen. So even just a little number next to the pie chart with a percentage capture on it would be great. So why does this matter? Well, the win conditions of the point have totally changed. You can win a game easily by trying to get a sneaky backcap in at the start of the game. Whilst it was maybe effective at capturing a third before, it means so much more now. You have many different ways to win the game as opposed to capture or no capture, which was the case before.
So that was some old audio from Miska talking about the capture point percentage and how important it is in the game right now, so it needs to be emphasized on the UI. Well, these are the changes on the PTR. Look how close we were to kind of almost getting this mock-up right. It was good to sort of know that Blizzard were thinking the right kind of thing. Whilst you do have the information on payload maps of how many meters it's moved, it's not always useful a lot of the time, especially when maps are finished, but it's important that people have that information available to them, and that's exactly what Blizzard have done. You can see this on all hybrid maps as well. You can see the capture percentage at its peak as well. So I just thought it's pretty interesting to highlight this old audio that we had, but I just thought it was really funny to hear this. Anyway, we're going to talk about what this draw system actually is for those that don't know, and then talk about what it does with the playstyle of the game.
Just to get everyone up to date, we want to focus on what changes Blizzard have actually implemented. Our obligatory grab a quote from the forums is as follows. Scott Mercer explained how the changes work. A team no longer has to completely capture one or more objectives than their opponent to gain a win. If both teams have the same score and run out of time, we now compare the maximum capture percentage of each team on the last objective they were both trying to complete. The team with the highest capture percentage on that objective wins. This is not based on the progression points at every 33%, but is on a completely granular scale of 0 to 100%. Most of you know what this is by now, and it's fairly straightforward when you see this in action. What was a little bit frustrating though is that we wanted to see draws on Hanamura on the PTR, a map that had an incredibly high draw rate otherwise. In our games though, it very rarely came down to the micro win conditions that have been added into the game, but when we did a game being on the verge of winning, because of the new draw rules, we saw something weird happen.
Let's take this clip from a game that I had on Hanamura's second point, for example. Look how little we have to defend it to win. Well, what does this mean? That we're very susceptible to being backcapped by a Sombra or Tracer or something else sort of sneaking around on the flank. But we only had such a small capture percentage, and this means that somebody has to stay on the point to contest it. This in turn meant that it breaks the defensive hold on the final point of Hanamura. You can't abuse the high ground strat that everybody else tends to do when playing this map, and you're immediately put on the back foot and punished for not capturing the final point at all. This example is sort of similar with payloads. If you haven't pushed a payload through a tough position, for example the first choke on Dorado, when you come to defend it, you need to be much more aggressive, hold the line a little bit further than you'd like to. It basically opens up the game a lot. This basically means for the last point of Hanamura, the enemy team can all 6 jump on the high ground because they know that they will have advantage, push people onto the point to try and contest it, but really sort of fire the damage from the high ground. Another example is on screen here. The first point wasn't captured, but as minor capture percentage. Instead of being on the high ground or by the choke where most people people tend to find themselves defending Hanamura, the team has to have one member on the team on the point to make sure that it doesn't get backcapped. It stretches the team, doesn't reinforce the choke, and the attacking team are able to push through it with ease. You also see some different compositions used to sneak in with ease to just get onto the point and contest it. I'd say this is a bit of a problem when the team has only managed to contest it for 3-4%. I think there should be a cap of 10-15% at least that a team needs to capture it by before the game takes it into account for the other team. But what does this mean for other maps that are in the 2 capture point? Well, we need to look at Volskaya, and for those that follow the Apex tournaments in Korea will know about the Korean hold, which is on map point 8. It's basically hanging back on this high ground and switching around onto the other high ground when the team try and come across. When the enemy team attack and jump on the point, the beefy characters will drop down to contest. What I'm expecting if these changes go through is that this hold will become a lot more popular, overholding the choke ahead because of the fear of backcapping. It's really easy to flank on the left hand side for Volskaya, for example. You're going to see more teams stretch to make sure that they can't get backcapped or beaten to the point because each percentage of capture matters now. Another problem is that isn't entirely emphasized at the moment. And that's it for this time. Thank you very much for watching. Do let us know what you think of the new draw system, whether you think it's a step in the right direction, or is the game mode more susceptible to cheese strats. Let us know below, like this video if you enjoyed it, and until next time, take care, we'll see you then.